Hello, my name is Brianna Bohan, and today I'll be discussing the major issue in the United States being illegal immigration. More than 86 million people have illegally immigrated to the United States between 1783 and 2019, according to CATO Institute in paragraph 1. It first all started when in Britain in the early 1700s, people were forced to migrate called transportation, where Britain took the people that were criminals and people who did not do well socially to migrate over to the North American colonies. Those people had a choice of being killed or to migrate to elsewhere. There was the Transportation Act, which granted English courts the ability to sentence convicts to transportation, said the CATO Institute. The number 86 million immigrants was brought about because of all the legal issues that occurred during early days of the American Republic. During the time of the Declaration of Independence, people would pledge their allegiance to the US, which back then was the way people would gain citizenship and political rights of a growing nation. There was something called the Great Wave, which occurred when World War I was over. During the 1900s to 1950s, people were assigned quotas. A quota is the amount the US lets in annually of a specific type of people when immigrating to the United States. From then on, there was a growth in migration and policies to try and control it. The Border Patrol was created in 1924. Through this growth of immigrants coming over to the United States, there has been various problems with them coming. The main problem is people coming over to the United States illegally. Having such a large problem of illegal immigrants coming to the US compromises our nation's security, allowing potential terrorists to hide in the same shadows, stated by Doug Lamburn. If this is not figured out, then there is going to be an increase in tragedies by these people. The government to the latest date has created the Immigration Act, which only limited the number of immigrants allowed to come to the US, which has not stopped the problem of illegal immigrants. The Homeland Security stated the DHS is taking action to disrupt cartels, smugglers, and nefarious actors. These actions include referring and then prosecuting 100% of illegal border crossers, building the first new border wall in a decade, and deploying the National Guard to the border, which was stated back in January of 2021. Since that time, illegal immigration has gotten worse. During 2023, there was a Border Safety and Security Act of 2023 created that since has not helped the case. The people who are most affected by these illegal immigrants coming to the US are US citizens and their families, along with the people who actually come to the US legally and the correct way they're supposed to. The Border Safety and Security Act of 2023 is a great idea and bill, but it should have been that way all along. People with the incorrect information should not let into the United States. Governor Ron DeSantis signed the Senate Bill 1718 to combat the dangerous effects of illegal immigrants caused by the federal government's reckless border policies, according to DeSantis' website. This legislation makes using E-Verify mandatory for any employer with 25 or more employees, imposes enforceable penalties for those employing illegal aliens, and enhances penalties for human smuggling. Additionally, this bill prohibits local governments from issuing identification cards to illegal immigrants, invalidating ID cards issued to illegal aliens in other states, and requires hospitals to collect and submit data on the costs of providing healthcare to illegal aliens. This legislation helps all US citizens by making sure illegal immigrants are not getting ID cards illegally, receiving medical help illegally, and overall just stopping them from doing things illegally, making sure that if companies help them, they are in trouble as well. That way, the people coming in illegally will not be able to get jobs and such, making them have to go through the process of becoming a US citizen. The cost of the Senate Bill 1718 is something that all states should sign so that illegal immigration stops. This bill would cause a drop in employment, but if the immigrants go through the process of becoming a citizen, they are able to get jobs again as being US citizens. This bill is efficient because it stops companies from lying and can cause them to pay fines, which a company does not want, which will stop the illegal immigration. There are obviously people who oppose the bill being signed by Ron DeSantis. The Southern Poverty Law Center, American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU of Florida, Americans for Immigration Justice, and American Immigration Council have announced they will file a federal lawsuit challenging Florida's Senate Bill 1718, which goes into effect July 1st of 2023, according to the American Immigration Council. These people oppose the bill because they believe that this creates families unable to cross state lines to visit their family. This will create them to be unable to go to their children's doctor's appointments who live near the border of state lines and more. Experts are saying that this legislation is unclear on what they are trying to do. The bill defines undocumented as someone who has entered the United States in a violation of the law and has not been inspected by the federal government. It is unclear what inspected by the federal government means, and one of the greatest problems with this law is that it is written too vaguely, according to ACLU Florida. On the other hand, there are people who believe this legislation is a good idea. This legislation was created to combat the dangerous effects of illegal immigrants stated by Governor DeSantis. Having these people undocumented can be harmful to the US because we are unable to do background checks on these people. Companies who are hiring illegal immigrants want the ability to pay these people little amounts to work for them because they know that the immigrants won't say anything to the government. But with these penalties that the bill implements, this will stop that from happening. I chose this topic mainly because I found it interesting that this is such an issue in the United States and that we have found no solution for this yet for people coming here illegally. It is hard to keep track of who is coming in and out of the country, but it is important to keep US citizens safe, and by letting people come illegally has created a lot of harm. Yes, some people coming here are starting to try and start a new life, which is important, but some people are here to cause harm. The people who want to create a better life for themselves should become US citizens the correct way rather than illegally. At the US Mexico border, there has been such a large amount of drugs trying to be brought into the country. Illicit fentanyl, a drug 100 times more potent than morphine, is up significantly, 480% higher at the southern border, according to the National Immigration Forum. That large number is extremely scary concerning people coming here legally. You do not know what they might be bringing into the US. From doing research and looking into the topic of illegal immigration in the United States, I have read that a lot of the problems have occurred from illegal immigrants, but not as much as we thought. If the government brings more support to our borders and makes citizenship process more accessible for people, but still efficiently to get the correct information and make sure that people are who they should be, then there would be a decrease in illegal people coming into the US, which will also stop the drugs coming over from the Mexico border as well. That way, US citizens are able to feel safe again, and the people who come here legally also won't be affected by illegal immigrants. and here are my sources. Thank you.